Am I the a-hole for blocking my neighbor and from parking his car in front of my house? I've lived in my home since it was constructed 15 years ago. There are 12 houses on our street with 6 houses on each side of the street. All the houses are 3 or 4 bedrooms with 2 car garages. All the houses are 3 or 4 bedrooms with 2 car garages. My house is the third from the corner of the public road. The unwritten rule of our street is if you need to park on the street, you park in front of your house and not someone else's. You have to get together and have workers coming over. No one minds if you park in front of their house as long as you're not making a habit of it. The house 2 doors down from me, which is the one corner with the public road, there's no parking on the road, is sold. New people moved in, 6 adults to be exact, living in a 3-bedroom home. They each have their own vehicle. I wake up the next morning to put the trash out and there was a car parking in front of my house. There are 3 other cars parked on the street, one in front of my next door neighbor, the house between me and the home next to people moved into, and one in front of each of the 2 houses on the opposite side of the street. I'm a bit annoyed but brush it off expecting it will be moved soon. It wasn't moved for 3 days. Apparently the new people have a garage packed so they park 2 cars in the driveway and 4 in the street. I keep my Corvette in the garage but I keep my old Beats in 1985 F-150 in the driveway along my wife's car. After the car moved, I parked my truck on the street in front of my house. Later that evening, someone rings my doorbell. The guy asks if I can move my truck into my driveway so he can park in front of my house. I tell him I can, but I'm not going to. He says they have 6 cars and not enough room to park on their property. I tell him it sounds like they bought the property and that's too small for their needs and shut the door. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my parents for selling my video games for practically nothing? I, 19 male, live with my parents and they're in the process of moving to a new house. My parents decided to host a yard sale. And since I wasn't available to help, they asked me if I could be willing to sell some of my old video games if they can pay me back. I told them it was fine, but I handed them a list of video games I didn't want them to sell. I told them to look up how much the games are worth before selling them. I didn't expect them to sell a lot of them, given that most of the games I owned right now cost a small fortune online. When I got back home after the yard sale had ended, they gave me just $200. When I asked where my games were, I found that nearly all of my GameCubes, DS, and 3DS games had been sold, including the one that I wrote down on my list. Some of the games cost hundreds of dollars to buy, so I knew my parents didn't look up price like I said. When I called them out on it, they said that if I wanted things done right, I should have been there, and also mentioned that they paid some of the games themselves. I've never gotten any serious arguments with my parents before, but I told them until they gave them what I would have gotten by selling the games online, which would be over $2,000. I didn't want to hear any more of their BS. My mom's acting like nothing happened, but my dad's refusing to talk to me. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for being rude to my MIL in regards to her skipping our wedding? I got married 6 months ago and my MIL didn't show up. FIL didn't come but said he couldn't get her to stop crying. So he gave her something to calm down and left her in the hotel room. Okay, honestly, I don't care that much, but I was curious. Usually, when you hear your MIL crying like that, she loves her son so much. She loves her son too much, but MIL doesn't love hers at all. I know it isn't my business, but I got curious. I asked her about it at the recent family dinner because she seemed to be in a good mood. MIL said she wasn't crying. She was having a panic attack and she didn't want to go to my wedding because she might get a wine poured on her. I asked if she was wearing white and she said no. FIL confirmed she was not, so I laughed because it's so ridiculous. She doesn't have history of severe anxiety, so not out of character, but ridiculous. Emma kind of laughed along, but said at least she didn't miss anything. She saw pictures and they were great. I said no one gives a shit about her, and there no one was comprising against her. She looked like kind of uncomfortable, but fake laughed again. I then blurted out, but have been funny if it did happen though. I admit that just came out and shouldn't have said it. FIL got suddenly annoyed and said I could shut my mouth and get out of his house. My husband told him not to talk about me like that and to stop prioritizing pathetic wife over everyone. FIL kicked us out, and SIL, who I consider a very good friend, sent me a text saying she knows MIL is crazy, but my lack of empathy makes her not want to be friends with me. That really came as a surprise and hurt.